As we approach the 70th anniversary of the German surrender in World War II, we talked to lobbyist and World War II veteran Dick Lockhart about his recollections of fighting in the Battle of the Bulge and the European theater. This runs about 10 minutes.
Dick Lockhart, thanks for joining us again on the All Night Channel. And for those who don't know, May the 8th marks the 70th anniversary of the end of the German surrender in World War II. You were one of the individuals who would have a pretty clear recollection of that day. What were you doing at the end of World War II in May of '45?
The situation was that I had been in combat during the Battle of the Bulge in December of '44, and found myself in due course a member of as a prisoner of war in Germany at a place called Stalag 9B. That prison camp was liberated by American troops in April, and after that I was taken into a camp in France. It was called Camp Lucky Strike. It's a temporary camp for returnees and people in between situations in Europe, military. And put on a hospital ship on the 12th of April, the very day, by the way, that President Roosevelt died, and was taken back to the United States. I was given a 60-day furlough with the admonition that I should go and fatten up because I had been in a facility where I tell people they had a very effective weight reduction program. And
yeah, you mean by that the German prisoner of war camp?
Yeah, with the favorite meal was grass soup, which tasted better and better the longer you were there, but it was not very nourishing. So we were sent home and got reunited with my family during the 60-day period, which we were supposed to take it easy and, like I say, get fattened up because of the hospitals actually were pretty full of really seriously wounded GIs. So when the surrender came of Germany in early May, it was a little bit anticlimactic. Interestingly enough, just as a part of the history of it all, when we were first put into combat in the early part of December of '44, we were told, I was just a private first class, making $54 a month, and your division will be in a quiet sector right now, and we expect basically the Germans to surrender by the end of December. Well, as you know, the Germans did not surrender. They fought on until May, and in fact, a few days later, launched the horrific battle called the Battle of the Bulge, or the Battle of the Ardennes, it's called in Europe, which produced the most military casualties of the war. So
it lasted about a month, starting December 16th, and you were just come off of guard duty that, as I recall, right?
For that, yes. Started at the barrage, the German barrage began at 5:30 in the morning. I just got off guard duty in the German city of Bleilf, which was right on the front lines, and all of a sudden the world was turned upside down. The problem we found, though, when we tried to call headquarters, or army headquarters elsewhere in Belgium and Germany, they thought we were exaggerating because we were green troops, and they didn't give a lot of credence because they had already made up their mind that the Germans were going to surrender by Christmas. Well, the American intelligence again failed, shall we say, in a very, what do I want to say, painful kind of way, but it provided me, like I say, with a diet of grass soup, so I lost some weight,
So when actually you heard, you had touched on this, but when you heard the Germans had surrendered, you were back in the United States?
I was back in the United States on the 60-day furlough.
And am I right that when you were captured by the Germans in December of '44, your parents got a telegram that you were missing in action?
Yes.
And when did they find out that you had actually survived?
I'm not quite sure. It was sometime later, though, but word filtered back to my parents that I was a prisoner. That didn't tell them very much, and the fact is we had a lot of casualties in the prison camp. Men died every day, for that matter, but at least I was intact and had not lost any body parts, fortunately. So I did work my way, get back to the United States, only to find that my parents had moved to my mother's parents' home in Ohio. They moved from Indiana to Ohio. And so I knocked at the door at home thinking they would receive some communication that I have been liberated and was on my way home. So there was a lag in time, knocking at my home door thinking my parents would come to the door. Instead, some strangers came to the door. Fortunately, they told me where my parents were, but it was I guess we've had movies like that or something of that nature where somebody comes back from long distances for a long period of time and find out other people have decided on another course of action. So anyway, that's one of the things.
As you and I have done the story before, and it's a wonderful story, and I could go on for an hour, but for this anniversary, I want to say, ask two things. One, as you now reflect back over these 70 years, what do you think about the events of World War II, and to the extent that, unlike the 19 years between World War I and World War II, now we've at least gone 70 years without another world war?
Well, it's interesting you asked that very question because just recently, relatively last year, I was invited back to Belgium by the countries of Belgium and Luxembourg, who are having a, quote, celebration of the Battle of the Bulge. And so I was with a few other surviving veterans, presented actually to the King and Queen of Belgium in the castle, and we were treated, I don't want to say we were treated like royalty, but we were treated with an incredible amount of respect and affection by the people in Belgium, who realized that their country had been tormented by the Germans for 4 years, and we were part of the liberation of their country. And so I was really very surprised that the countries, those two countries, recognize the significance of what happened 70 years ago. And here I was, Private First Class Lockhart, back in Belgium, but this time meeting with the King and Queen in the castle. Far different than the 70 years previously. You have to live long enough, Terry, I guess, to have some of these experiences.
Well, Dick Lockhart, we appreciate your service, and you're a great guy, and thank you for sharing your recollections.
My pleasure.